I had a mail day today. I had some magazines come in, and today's video isn't going to be revealing of these magazines, no, because I already opened them up. But they're in a pile along with other magazines because today I officially got the last two magazines in 1999 that completed my WWF magazine 1990s collection. So I have everything now from January 1990 all the way up to actually December of 2000. So I thought we would take a look today at these magazine covers of the WWF from January 1990 up to December 2000. So it's kind of like a look back at the history and the revolution, or evolution, I should say, of this magazine and how it grew. And right here, we see Jake the Snake Roberts as the first one here. January 1990, we see Jake the Snake Roberts. There he is. Let me get that down. There we go. Next up, for February 90, we have the Survivor Series results, and we see Hogan, Rick Rude, The Ultimate Warrior, Savage, and Dusty Rhodes all on the cover there. I actually, I believe I owned those two magazines when I was younger. So a lot of these I did own, and it's nice to own them again all these years later. Here we see March 1990 with Hulk Hogan on the cover, but it also has the Warrior on the other side. Special WrestleMania 6 cover, I suppose, hyping that main event match between Hogan and Warrior. April 1990, The Big Boss Man. Big Boss Man discusses justice prison guard style, whatever that means. Next up, we got May 1990 with one of my personal favorites, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. He demands sheer perfection. That, I believe, is when he was going after Mr. Perfect, going into WrestleMania to wrestle him. And he was supposed to take the Intercontinental title from Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam, but that boat accident definitely changed that. June 1990, we have WrestleMania 6, all the results and pictures. There we see the Ultimate Warrior on the cover with the Intercontinental and WWF titles. July 1990, I always liked this cover. It definitely represented the 90s perfectly, the early 90s, with the fluorescent orange, yellow, green, pink. It's the Macho King, Randy Savage, right there. Look at that. That just looks awesome. I always loved the fluorescent colors back then, so that really just shows what 1990s was all about. August 1990, we have the Hart Foundation on the cover. Hart Foundation's Hitman and Anvil look to rumble with demolition. Now, I always wanted that magazine as a kid, never had that one. So when I got it now, I did enjoy it greatly. I went through it and looked at it finally, and it was really, really enjoyable. And some of these are just enjoyable, just even the ones I own, because I get to look back at things I forgot. September 1990, we have Hulk Hogan on the cover with some weights. Hulk Hogan, what's Earthquake gonna do when these pythons rumble through? October 1990, we have the Legion of Doom on the cover. They're now in the WWF going after Axe, Smash, and Crush of Demolition. November 1990, SummerSlam results with the Ultimate Warrior on the cover with the blue WWF title. December 1990, we have the new Intercontinental Champion from SummerSlam, the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich, on the cover there. So that was 1990. That was a pretty good year for wrestling for the WWF. I thought it got better as the year went on. I felt after WrestleMania 6 and going into SummerSlam, things started to heat up. Certain things, we had Earthquake as a main eventer. We had Rick Rude going for the title against Warrior. We had Texas Tornado coming in. We also had the British Bulldog coming in, which he was actually supposed to wrestle Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam that year when Beefcake got injured, but the work visa didn't work, didn't make it in time, so Vince went with Kerry Von Erich instead. And of course, we had the Legion of Doom debuting. It was just a really, really fun year, 1990. Now let's take a look at 1991. We start off with Mr. Perfect on the cover, and he was going after the Intercontinental Champion once again. February 91, we have the Survivor Series results. We got Hogan and Warrior on the cover there. That was the year where they had the match where all the winners from the Survivor Series matches went to the last Survivor Series elimination match. It was Hogan, Warrior, and Tito Santana against the complete team of the Visionaries, which was Rick Martel, Power and Glory, and the Warlord, and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, and Hogan and Warrior were victorious. March 91, we see the Rockers on the cover. The Rockers draw a bead on Demolition. April 91, we get Hulk Hogan with the United States of America flag. This, of course, during the war at the time and Sergeant Slaughter being a villain. So Hogan was getting all Americanized and getting ready to go after Sergeant Slaughter. May 1991, we see the debut of The Undertaker on the WWF magazine. I have to laugh at that because this magazine at one time was going for ridiculous money on eBay because they considered it a rookie magazine. This is Undertaker's rookie cover. It's like, no, that doesn't exist in magazines. There's no rookie covers. It's not like rookie cards when it comes to trading cards. There's no such thing as that for magazines. I've seen that magazine go for like sell, like not, I don't think it actually sold for it, but it was selling for like $100 or 150. It's like, really, just because it's the Undertaker's first, that seems a bit ridiculous. June 91, we get once again WrestleMania 7 results this time. It seems for the WWF magazines in June, you will see WrestleMania results. It's February is Survivor Series, June is WrestleMania. SummerSlam, I believe, is November results, I think. We'll find out soon coming up here. July 91, we get Jake the Snake Roberts on the cover again. Will Damien's spirit level Earthquake? That's when Earthquake, of course, sat on Damien, which of course wasn't really Damien. We found out years later it was Ground Hamburg, but man, what a visual that was on Superstars that morning when Jake the Snake was tied up in the ropes and the Earthquake sat on Damien not once, but twice. August 91, this was always a favorite of mine. I had it as a kid. The British Bulldog wants to sink his teeth into Perfect's belt. So yes, I did have that magazine. There's Winston, the Bulldog, on the cover there. Of course, I actually named my dog when I was a kid after that dog. I had a miniature German Schnauzer I got in October of 1992, and I was 11 years old at the time, so I named him Winston. September 91, we get Hulk and the Warrior on the cover here going into SummerSlam. They were going to face the Triangle of Terror, which was Sergeant Slaughter, General Adnan, and Colonel Mustafa, who, of course, was the Iron Sheik. October 91, we get Randy and Elizabeth on the cover. Oh, yeah. That's when Macho Man asked Miss Elizabeth to marry him on Superstars, and she said yes, leading into SummerSlam for the match made in heaven. Or as Bobby Heenan would call it, the match made in hell. November 91, yeah, this is definitely the SummerSlam results one. We get Bret Hitman Hart on the cover here with the Intercontinental title. Never had that magazine as a kid, always wanted it, happy to have it now. Looks good, really good shape. Look at that, it looks awesome. Bret with the belt. Man, it's really a badass looking photo. Bret, of course, was always one of my favorites back in the day, so that's pretty sweet to have. December 91, we get Sid Justice. That's right. He's not Psycho Sid here. He's Sid Justice, and he's on the cover of the December 1991 magazine. All right, folks. That takes us through 1991. Now, hold on here. I'm just getting some more magazines there to get ready. Now, 1991, a big year for the WWF. We saw the debut of Nature Boy Ric Flair come in around I think it was September, October of 91. We saw the big gold belt on WWF television, the NWA World title, which became the WCW International title and WCW World title and World title. It's had 1,000 different names, but originally it was the NWA World title. We saw Bret Hart finally become Intercontinental Champion in his great match with Mr. Perfect. We saw the Legion of Doom feud with the Nasty Boys. We saw Jake the Snake Roberts not only lose his pet snake Damien, but take a cobra and have it bite the Macho Man Randy Savage right on the arm. So we had a big year in 1991. Now it's time to hit 1992. And we start off with The Undertaker on the cover of the January 1992. And we see, of course, at the top, the exclusive Rockers Alliance crumbling. Yes, that is the magazine where the Rockers split up on the barber shop, where Sean ripped it in half. Is there a problem with the Rockers? I don't think so, right there, Sean? But apparently there was. February 92, we see right here the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, Hulkamania's Nightmare. The Nature Boy now in the WWF, and he would make the cover a few times here. Even March 92, we get Ric Flair, look at that, with the WWF title. Something we thought we would never see as wrestling fans back in that era. Flair on the cover with, look at that, Sid Justice, The Undertaker, Rowdy Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, and the Macho Man Randy Savage. That is a main event caliber cover right there of who's who in professional wrestling at that time, and perhaps just in general. Those are some studs there. That's 6 main event dudes on one cover of a wrestling magazine. April 92, we get the WrestleMania 8 preview. Flair and Macho and Sid and Hogan right there going into WrestleMania 8. So again, Flair on 3 WWF magazines in a row coming in. That's huge. That is pretty big. That maybe a Hogan would get that, Hogan would probably get 3 in a row. Maybe I think that's it. I think Hogan was the only one who ever did have consecutive covers, really, and Flair, he did it. May 92, we get Miss Elizabeth on her own. Scandalous photos, source revealed. That, of course, is the situation where Ric Flair posted photos with him and Miss Elizabeth, but really it wasn't. It was the Macho Man with Miss Elizabeth. Flair just doctored the photos. I guess photoshopping back then, before it was even a thing to do, right? The Nature Boy photoshopped himself into those photos with Miss Elizabeth. June 92, we get the WrestleMania 8 results right there. Oh, that goes here. Aha, there we go. The return of the Ultimate Warrior as well, as you can see there. And that shows it here in July 92. We get Ultimate Warrior, Spellbound by Shango. That's right, Papa Shango, or Shango, whatever you want to call him. Papa Shango? Yeah, that's it, Shango. He came into the WWF here, and he did make a magazine cover, September 92. Papa Shango, Man, Myth, and Magic. That, of course, is the... sorry, you know what I missed there? I have my August 92 up here on my newsstand for August. So there's the British Bulldog. I should say that. August 92 went to the British Bulldog. And then September 92 went to Papa Shango. August 92 Bulldog, he was going for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam. And of course, Papa Shango, he was just going for some weird random voodoo stuff all the time. So this is interesting now. October 92, we get a newcomer altogether, ladies and gentlemen. We get someone who I haven't seen before on a magazine, and I don't think you have either yet. It's Native American Tatanka. So Tatanka, part of the New Generation, really, that's what he was. He was in the New Generation era. Coming in late 92 here on the magazine. He was a part of the WWF all through 1992, had a feud with Rick Martel for that year, which was really, really well done, actually, that feud. November 92, once again, we get the Hitman on the cover. Bret Hart hexed Hitman suffering from Shango's spell. And we get a special, Flair takes Randy's belt. Yes, Ric Flair, once again, World Wrestling Federation champion for the second time. He defeated the Macho Man just days after SummerSlam 92 that was held over in England. December 92, we get the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels on the cover. And we also get Bret Hart, new WWF champion. So within the span of one magazine, we get two WWF champions in Ric Flair and Bret Hitman Hart. All right, 1992. A lot of cool things happened. It was kind of the change of the guard for what the WWF was at the time. Gone were the big, meaty muscle heads, the steroid era of the WWF, and in was the newer, athletic, skilled athletes such as Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, even Tatanka. You know, Tatanka was big, but he wasn't big like the Warlord. He wasn't big like, Sid Justice. He was just a dude who looked like he worked out a lot. But yeah, it's crazy when you look at December 92 compared to January 92. Gone was Hulk Hogan. Gone was Sid Justice. Gone was Roddy Piper. You know, Macho Man was wrestling less. Undertaker was kind of doing his thing. He was in a feud with Kamala. But a lot of guys were gone. And when you look back at the later 1992, like if you look at Survivor Series 92 compared to Survivor Series 91, it's definitely different. And that comes into 1993. We are now officially, as far as I'm concerned, we're now in the new generation era. Once Bret Hart won that title from Ric Flair, to me, that was the start of the new generation because the WWF looked different. It was definitely different. And January 93, we get The Undertaker and Nails on the cover. So they were supposed to have a big program. It never worked out because Nails choked out Vince McMahon or whatever that story was. So Undertaker and Nails never came to be. Probably a blessing for Undertaker. February 93, we get Mr. Perfect on the cover once again. Mr. Perfect back in professional wrestling. Back in it because he was out for a year and a half with that back injury. He got it at SummerSlam 91 with Bret Hart. His first match back after that was Survivor Series 92 when he tagged with the Macho Man to wrestle Ric Flair and Razor Ramon at Survivor Series. So Mr. Perfect is now back and ready for some action. March 1993, we get the bad guy, Razor Ramon. That's right, Razor Ramon is in the WWF. He came in 1992. He left WCW. Gone was the Diamond Stud and born into Razor Ramon. A superstar, if there ever was one, was Razor Ramon compared to his Diamond Stud gimmick, or character, I should say, in WCW. April 1993, we get Yokozuna on the cover going into a WrestleMania. He was the victor of the Royal Rumble, and he was going to get the shot at Bret Hitman Hart at WrestleMania 9. May 1993, we get a familiar face on the cover here. Hulk Hogan. He's back with a vengeance and with a heart, spelled Hart. The Hulkster came back to the WWF to help his buddy Brutus the Barber Beefcake to go after the WWF Tag Team Champions, Money Incorporated. It's June 1993. It's now time for the WrestleMania results. And look at the cover. Hulk Hogan wins the gold in WrestleMania Shocker. Hulkamania rules for the 5th time. What was Vince McMahon thinking with that? No one wanted that. Not one wrestling fan wanted that. Everyone wanted Bret Hart as their champion at the time. It was a new era, hence the new generation. No one wanted a slimmer Hulk Hogan as the champion. Hogan was like, 275 pounds at this time, I think. He wasn't 303, that's for sure. He got off the juice. He looked different, even in his face. Everything just looked different about him. I was not a fan of Hogan in 1993. July 93, The Undertaker is on the cover, but that's not the story. The story is Hogan versus Hart. Should these men battle to answer the question, who really won the belt at WrestleMania 9? So yeah, they were going to see about a possible Bret versus Hogan match at SummerSlam. And it continues in August 93 here. We get Bret Hart on the cover with a sharpshooter on Papa Shango. Bret Hart, could he beat Hulk? Again, hyping that up. And unfortunately, it never happened. Instead, we get someone who's going to be the next Hulk Hogan. We get September 1993, the All-American Lex Luger right there. Look at him. Lex Luger, no longer a narcissist, no longer a total package. He is All-American, ready to go after Yokozuna and win the WWF title at SummerSlam. October 93, we get the new WWF Tag Team Champions, Rick and Scott, the Steiner brothers, on the cover there with those glorious titles. November 93, it is SummerSlam results time, and we got the winner of the match on the main event on the cover, the total package himself, Mr. Made in the USA, Lex Luger, but without the championship. Lex Luger, after his victory at SummerSlam, where to now? I have no idea what Vince McMahon was thinking, not putting the championship on Lex Luger at SummerSlam. It made no sense at all. December 93, we get Razor Ramon on the cover here with Rick Martel. Razor Ramon, how long can the bad guy hold the belt? Meaning the Intercontinental Championship. That's right, Razor Ramon is the new Intercontinental Champion. He defeated Rick Martel in a tournament final, kind of. They were the last two guys in a battle royal on Monday Night Raw. The following week, Razor defeated Martel to win that Intercontinental title. All right, let's take a look at 1993 now. We had Hulk Hogan return. We had Hulk Hogan win the title. We had Hulk Hogan lose the title at the King of the Ring. But the real story there was Bret Hart going through Razor Ramon in the first round, Mr. Perfect in the second round, and finally Bam Bam Bigelow in the finals to win the 1993 King of the Ring Championship. We saw the Steiner brothers take the tag titles off Money Incorporated. We saw Lex Luger go from being a narcissist who was hated by the fans to a All-American who was loved by the fans. We saw Razor Ramon finally win some gold and become a superstar that he always knew he could be, and that Vince McMahon must have known he could be for bringing him in and, strapping him with so much force in that he was main eventing for the championship, and it was in main event matches when he first came into the company. So when you first come in and you work a program with Randy Savage, that's kind of a big deal, He and then to work with Bret and finally turn babyface after losing to the 1-2-3 Kid on Raw, won that Intercontinental title. Exciting. Now we go into 1994. 1994 comes in with the January issue with Kona Crush on the cover, and Crush now a villain, a most hated villain for attacking Randy Macho Man Savage and taking him out of action for quite some time in late 1993. February 94, we get the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels on the cover, and look at that, he's on TV, etc. The Heartbreak Kid knows how to do magazine covers, and that right there proves that. March 94, we get The Undertaker on the cover, Master of the Dark Side. For April of 94, we get a WrestleMania look here on the cover. We see Bret Hart, Lex Luger, and WWF champion Yokozuna. Of course, that would lead into one of the strangest WrestleManias ever at WrestleMania 10, where Yokozuna would defend the championship not once, but twice that night. Once against Lex Luger, and then in the main event against Bret Hitman Hart. May 1994, we get a face that we haven't seen yet on a magazine cover. We get Adam Bomb, wrestling's big man, best big man perhaps, right? No, it's just a little joke there, but he was pretty good for his size and everything. He had some athleticism. It's just too bad that WWF didn't like do more with him. I feel WCW did with the whole Chronic thing in the year 2000 with him and Brian Adams Crush. Like that was over like crazy, but Vince didn't really do anything with Adam Bomb. June 94, we get WrestleMania 10 results. Bret Hart captures the gold. What else can you say, right? Hitman, that's it. He takes the title at WrestleMania 10. July 94, we get Big Daddy Cool Diesel on the cover. Premium Diesel will champ check out of Heartbreak Hotel. That's because Diesel is now the new Intercontinental Champion, defeating Razor Ramon just weeks after WrestleMania 10, when Razor had that great ladder match with Shawn Michaels to unify those Intercontinental title belts. August 94, by this time, Hulk Hogan's in WCW. So what does the WWF do? Yoko rules. Yokozuna, the greatest Federation champion ever. And he's pinning Hulk Hogan. Take that, WCW and Hulk Hogan. Yokozuna is on the cover, destroying your WCW champion. September 94, we get the Hart Foundation. Well, kind of. We get Owen Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart on the cover there. Owen, of course, a villain now, turning on his brother Bret, had a great match at WrestleMania 10, defeating him. Went on to win the 1994 King of the Ring, defeating Tatanka, the 1-2-3 Kid, and the bad guy Razor Ramon in the finals. Of course, thanks to help from Jim the Anvil Neidhart. October 94, we get Doink the Clown. That's right, Doink the Clown makes his first appearance on a WWF magazine. Not really a fan of Doink. Never was. Not even the Matt Bourne version of him. I just didn't care for Doink. It just wasn't my thing. November 94, we get a look at SummerSlam there. Caged in Chi-Town. That's where Bret and Owen had that sweet cage match. And we saw The Undertaker versus The Undertaker as the main event. And last but not least, we have December of 94. It's Raw Madness, Savage, uncooked, uncut, uncensored, and unedited. Randy Macho Man Savage there. The last time you'll see him on a WWF magazine cover, for he'd be leaving for WCW as well in months' time. And of course, the British Bulldog is back in the WWF. The Bark of the Bulldog, Canine, back with a vengeance. All right, 1994. What can we say about 94? No Hogan. He wasn't even in the WWF in 1994. Nothing, nada, zero, zilch. He was in WCW doing his thing there, and he took a lot of the guys who were in the WWF just years earlier with him. Guys like the Nasty Boys were now in WCW. Hacksaw Jim Duggan was in WCW. The Honky Tonk Man was over there. The Big Boss Man was over there. You know, a lot of these guys who we just saw on magazine covers here. Even Ric Flair is back in WCW in 1994. Like, a lot of these guys are gone. Sid went over to WCW again. So, you know, WWF was new generation now. It was a different era of wrestling. It was an era of, like I said, the Bret Harts, the Shawn Michaels, Diesel, you know, Razor Ramon, The Undertaker still doing his thing, right? And by the way, the fake Undertaker, of course, as people probably do know, it was primetime Brian Lee, a.k.a. the Bulldozer Brian Lee, or Chains from DOA, whatever you want to call him. That's who the faker taker was. But 1994 was awesome. It was a cool era. A lot of interesting people were there at the time, like Johnny Polo was a manager who became Raven. We saw Jacques and Pierre, the Quebecers. The Smoking Guns were moving up in the ranks there. The Heavenly Bodies with Jim Cornette were there. The 1-2-3 Kid, like I said, he was there. Jeff Jarrett was doing his thing. And we were getting ready to go into 1995. And that was going to be a big year as well. Kind of another changing of the guard for wrestling, because we're going to see a new champion come in late 94 and 95. And we're going to get that into, we'll get into that into our next video, because this is already at 29 minutes for these 5 years I've done. So I hope you enjoyed the first look at this. This is 1990 through 1994, the WWF magazine covers. If you had any of these, let me know. If you wanted any of these back in the day and never did, let me know. Because like I said, I had a few that I always wanted. I'm glad I got them now. But it's just neat to have these. They look good on display. The color of them all pops. I'm just I'm just so excited and happy to have all these. And like I said, part 2 will be 1995, and I'm going to go right through to December of 2000 because I got all those. So let's show them too. And yeah, so that's it for this one. Hopefully you enjoy it. And until I do the next one, which will be part 2, I'll talk to you guys later.